Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. In today's video, we've got a debate between me and Korin O Keefe. The debate is Asura from Asura's Wrath versus Composite Dean from Supernatural. The rules of the debate is simple. We have an attack potency cap of Finite Universal, and our speed is equalized. Everything else is on the table for the debate. And with that, let's get started. Alright, just to iterate premises. My premise will be that Asura will outlast and beat down Dean. And your premise?
My premise is Dean will use everything he has at his disposal to help him with anything that's necessary to be helped with.
Alright.
Alright, so for my AP, Composite Dean includes him with the alternate Michael, aka the Archangel Michael from an alternate universe. Now this is impressive because one of the weaker archangels known as Gabriel created an entire parallel universe in itself that perfectly replicated over 300 other TV shows. And why this is important is because, as I mentioned, he's one of the weaker archangels. We even know Lucifer in a weaker vessel, Nick's vessel, is superior to Gabriel. And alternate Michael in a weaker vessel is stronger than Lucifer. And this is Michael in his perfect vessel. So this solidifies it even further and puts him further above what Gabriel can do. And I'm going to start posting those clips for you.
All right. I think things I'd be most interested in is the 300 statement. See if I could see where that's from.
Yeah, it's in those clips. They mention how there's over 300 channels. And the last clip, not the one I just sent, but the last one for the Gabriel stuff, is where he just dissolves it with a thought.
Damn.
Yeah.
So is it like the second last one with the 300 statement? I'm just trying to like get which one. Also, my PC's lagging ever so slightly.
Yeah, I'll double check because there's like 4 clips. I'm going to make sure which one it's in.
Thank you.
I know for a fact the last one is when he just dissolves it with a thought.
The
One of the other 3 is what states that there's over 300 channels. Something along the lines of nothing but like bad TV or something along those lines. Like 300 channels within this parallel universe. And for some reason, my phone's not allowing me to click on the video to watch it right now. I don't know why.
Bruh.
Can you give us a second, please? Thanks. You gotta calm down.
Wow.
Calm down. I'm wearing sunglasses at night. You know who does that? No talent douchebags. I hate this game.
Till we've like seen 300 statement.
Anyway, I don't think it...
Because I hate...
Oh, sorry. Karen.
It's like 300 on television. They're all...
Oh, I found it.
honestly,
I found it. Sorry, I found it. I just see it.
Okay.
Hey, what? Check out Sweet Tooth over there.
And the other clips show like the different realities within the parallel universe. Like they're going to like different, like the game show reality, some type of like CSI reality, etc. Like sitcoms.
Okay.
But yeah, the main stuff is the over 300 statement, and then him dissolving it in that last clip.
Yeah. In case you're interested, which one had the 300 statement, it was the CSI one. It was about 30 seconds into it. Like, my PC was lagging, but I saw in the subtitles it said 300 different television screens. So I was like, yeah, that's where it is.
All right, cool. Any issues so far?
No, I don't have any issues.
Okay. So, you agree my character upscales from that?
So that's the scaling for. I forgot you said the character's name. It was his his thought that was able to do.
Gabriel?
Gabriel, yeah, thank you. So can you show, or can you remind me why they upscale? Sorry.
Yeah, and as I posted here, Lucifer in the next clip, in a lesser vessel, shows himself to be, or proves himself, you could say, to be superior to his little brother Gabriel. And alternate Michael in a weaker vessel proved himself to be stronger. He overpowered Lucifer. And Dean is Michael's perfect vessel. So he's even stronger than that.
Damn. So in total, how many universes, would you say? Above finite universal?
Well, I would at least say over, going off what we have here, over 300 3D finite universes.
Okay.
For Gabriel.
Alright, I got no issue with that.
Alright. And then perfect vessel Dean just upscales, which if needed, I'll get more into that later, but
All right.
for now, that's fine. If you accept my AP, you can go on to yours.
Yeah, I do accept that. So, like yourself, I'll start off with something. Just get intuition like that. This was something. PC, stop lagging, please. Sorry about that. My PC was lagging. So I actually made this calculation back in my Chakravartin video, if you remember it. It has the full calculation on there. It was the energy of him moving that giant, rocky object above his head, and he throws it. The object is absolutely gigantic. Like you can see, or partially see, it's kind of a hard image, but it's bigger than the galaxies next to it. You can calculate its kinetic energy as 65.2 duotrincillion joules. Now, converting that into how many universes, using Versus Battle Wiki, we'd say it is... Oh, just dropped my mic again. It is this many universes. I'll just add some commas in it so it's easier to read. There you go. So 232 million finite. Well, 232 million times finite universal. And much like yourself, if needed, I will upscale in a bit later. Any issues with this?
Nope.
All right, cool. You said you might wanted to upscale later. Do you want to do that now or?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
So can I go on to a first win con?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. Well, my first win con is going to be Dean is going to obliterate you on a subatomic level. So do you have anything to defend yourself against subatomic annihilation?
Yeah, Asura's got a very interesting thing for that. So what Asura can do is he can, through his anger, straight up respawn parts of his body. So let's say you were to hit him and do the whole subatomic annihilation. If you were to do it, he would respawn it anyway, because it's subatomic annihilation only destroys like physical matter, so he could just quite literally respawn the limbs he like gets destroyed, and he can also do it to his body.
What do you mean by respawn?
So by respawn, I mean there can be no limb left, and through his rage, he can create a brand new one. It's the same way of how he actually grows his arms between forms. It's the same way as that, but he also can use it as a form of regeneration as well.
Well, can you show him regenerating from subatomic destruction?
I think I can do something a bit more interesting than that. So you know, what's it? You know a nuclear bomb, right?
Mm-hmm.
So nuclear blasts get weaker and weaker the more they spread out, which is a common thing. If you look at like Nuke Map or something, they have the pressure gets less and less as you go out. If you're at the dead center of a nuclear blast, the heat and power of that nuclear bomb would atomize your body, and if you were to increase the energy further and further to something like the Tsar Bomber, you would actually go beyond atomization. You would be melting the very components that make up the atom, which is actually how subatomic annihilation works. And that's with like nuclear bombs. So I'd say our characters like Universal would probably have be able to resist it, like both of us, because of our attack potency is just so high that it would probably happen on like accident if damage was dealt.
I would have to disagree, because if your character hasn't shown like resistance to matter manip on a subatomic level, it would be a little bit of a stretch just to say you can get by with AP alone. Because we're in the same tier. It's not like you're a dimension above me. It's like there's nothing special. I would say you'd have to like demonstrate you can come back from that specifically.
Let's give it a
This
shot.
is like a little more fundamental than just a normal conventional attack and even atomic attacks.
Yeah. So you're saying like your attack potency with the subatomic annihilation to it. Let's give that a bit of thought.
I'm not just simply attacking you in a conventional manner. I'm attacking you deeper than that, so to speak, on a subatomic level. So I would say attack power itself wouldn't necessarily protect you from something that attacks you subatomically. That would be like a little bit of a stretch, I would say. Because like there's nothing, I haven't seen anything to suggest. Just because like you have great attack power that can just allow you to resist matter manip on a subatomic level.
So my PC's currently lagging. How does Dean do his subatomic? Like it's lagging, so I can't see it properly.
Well, Archangels just snap their finger and obliterate you on a subatomic level, just a snap of their finger.
So could an Archangel do that to someone stronger than themselves?
Well, why would that matter though? Why does like being physically stronger equate to you defending against subatomic attacks?
Oh no, I was just asking that because if you think of it in a way, characters' bodies, especially even their atoms, in fact, would have to scale up. Otherwise, there would be like natural atomic things that would like neg the characters, like a nuclear bomb. So like I agree with the thing that's like because we're like more relative, it is like more of a discussion sort of thing than just saying, yes, everyone above a nuke resists subatomic. Because like, yeah, it's not just subatomic; it's subatomic from someone in the same tier. So that's why I asked, like, have they been able to do it to someone stronger than them? Because if so, I could upscale my character to the point where the difference between a normal attack and that would be the equivalent of subatomic. So that's why I asked the question.
Well, they do it to people relative to them. But
all right.
Again, yeah. But again, like, can you show that you can regenerate from that?
Oh, the regeneration, like, well, let's say it this way: if you get Asura's arm and you remove it, and he regenerates a new one, he's regenerating it without any atoms whatsoever, without any subatomic particles. Because you can see his previous arm over there on the side, you know. So that's why I like how that works. He doesn't need any atoms to do that regen.
Okay. Well, how long does it take to regen?
Um, Depends on the occasion, and also depends if he's trying to transform at the same time. I would say for like, if he's angry right then and there, it'd be like snap of a finger. If he's trying to like upgrade his form, it takes like a couple seconds, if you know what I mean.
Well, are you able to demonstrate that?
Yeah, I'll get because I don't have this on hand, so I have to quickly get it. Asura going in its like mantra form, with him just gaining arms, and that way you can like sort of see one of the like slower ways of which you can gain it. Yeah, that'll work. So Asura transform into. There's so much lag on my PC. In fact, actually, I got something even better because apparently YouTube doesn't know how to read and just gave me something better instead. So there was one time where he got annoyed and he had no arms whatsoever, and he became, well, it's not Berserker. It is Berserker. No, it's not. Yeah, it's cool. It's called Berserker Asura. I was trying to remember the name off by heart. And in that form, he didn't just gain arms, but he grew even further beyond that. I'm trying to load the video. Also, I'm trying to get like relevant timestamps. Sorry for like delay, obviously. Okay, I think I copied it. Again, the lag's being weird. So this is like an example. If you look at the start of it, he's got no arms. People get blown up around him. He's damaging that. And then when he gets angry, he's got brand new arms and such. I mean, the thumbnail on its own shows that he's got new arms, but it's best to see what he was like beforehand so you can get what you mean afterwards, you know. I would tell you the timestamp, but I'm too laggy at the moment to get a timestamp. Sorry about that.
That's fine. Yeah, this is fine. So I'll accept you can be able to regenerate quickly, and you can regenerate from subatomic destruction.
Yeah. Oh, I thought one other thing
That's
that
fine.
I thought might be worthwhile. So if you like, let's say you like cut off his arm or something, and it's like subatomic. So like you do like partial subatomic damage. I would say what a good thing Asura could do is rip the rest of his arm off so he could regenerate afterwards. Like something like that. I could do something like that. Anyway, just doing like another alternative that's worthwhile. It might be useful later on.
Okay. So what's your first win con?
So in my premise, I said Asura would beat down. So since your attack potency is like 300 times finite universal, and mine is 232 million times finite universal, I'm with the fact we do have equal speed. I'll just reiterate that for people who missed that part. I would say Asura would go up to Dean and start punching him, beating him down, as the premise suggests.
Okay. Well, I would say due to Dean's passive luck manip, Azura won't even hit him. I'll post that.
All right. I think I remember the passive luck manip, but I might ask you to go into detail, which is why I'm like stopping you posting it. It's to do with like the lucky rabbit foot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to quickly check my task manager to try and see if there's something that's using a large amount of space. Because I'm trying to not be laggy.
I'm posting the clips. They're not long.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, cool. My PC had like frozen screen, but I did hear you. You said you posted the clips.
Yep.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do to stop the lag. So pardon me while I try and watch these clips.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I remember Dean's is Batman. Oh, that's a funny one.
Yep.
So as I'm watching these, I'll just say what I remember from memory before I like embarrass myself. So from memory, in these examples, doesn't he do stuff like doesn't he like throw something at someone holding a gun and they like accidentally like shoot themselves and stuff like that? Or like he walks into a room and everyone just negs themselves through his like lucky good luck.
He just makes it. It essentially makes it to where Dean won't get hit, and yeah, it essentially backfire. Like
So
it's just passive luck. So like if you try to swing, like throw hands, it's just gonna passively move him. Like just he's lucky, so you won't be able to hit him.
yeah, okay. So what would happen if my character used like AoE?
Ask yourself.
Like for example, if I was to punch the ground with such force that it would shatter with this 2 million times universal energy and the shockwave. Would the shockwave like move around him? Like, is there anything to suggest something like that?
Well, so is it just limited to the ground?
Well, no. I should say the ground because like a shockwave, you need to impact something else. Like like Marvel, obviously, we have like the Hulk's thunderclap. In that example, the impact is himself because he's clapping his hands together. I just say the ground because it's like an obvious thing for that could be impacted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but didn't you say you would beat Dean down though?
Yes. I would also say that is a form of beating Dean down. Because I would also say if another way this could go around is I could pick up something so large that it would have such great AoE that I'd be able to beat you down with it, which is a form of beating you down.
Okay. Well, can this AoE affect the embodiment of death?
I don't have an example for it affecting the embodiment of death. However,
Because Dean,
I was gonna say, like, would you agree affecting the embodiment of death is like being able to affect some like conceptual life and death, like hack sort of thing?
what do you mean?
So I'll just say my example, right? So in Asura's Wrath, the character Chakravartin is responsible, the embodiment and the conceptual entity responsible for all mantra. Mantra straight up dies and disappears at the death of Chakravartin. This is also like given other context as well. Chakravartin is also responsible for the cycle of life and death that exists between the Goma and the empire of Shinkoku, which is like the like ships and stuff you see at the start of like Asura's Wrath. They're like barely mentioned in the game, but that's basically what they are. That cycle of life and death is created by this conceptual entity, and this the cycle of like rebirth in a way that happens to the universe is happened by Chakravartin. They control all of it. They quite literally build the concepts that exist in the universe. So while Asura's Wrath doesn't have their embodiment of death as a character, they got a character who could make an embodiment of death and is responsible for all those like concepts, and that's the final boss Asura beats.
Okay. another question is, because Dean can fly along with the luck hacks, so what's the range or the, what's the widespread or whatever the area of effect on the shockwaves?
So shockwaves dissipate per distance, right? So instead of saying like the range, oh my god, words. Instead of saying that the range of the shockwave, I should be saying like the range of where the potency is valid. So I'll get my established attack potency divided by yours, and then use what's called the inverse square law to say like how like close I'd need to be. In doing so, I'll just post all the steps so you can like see what I'm doing. Did I? The result of it, by the way, because I know the result, I'm just like trying to copy and paste when the lag's stopping me. The result of it is, in fact, 800 meters, or over 800 meters.
So does this AOE go in like? Wait, are you done?
No, I was trying to post all of it, and
oh, sorry. Okay.
yeah, I tried to click new line, and it posted the first half without posting the square root aspect to it. So that's a little bit annoying. Because what that is right there is before the inverse square law. The inverse square law is right here. By the way, I have rounded some numbers. Because, no one wants to see, like, massively long numbers after a decimal point for no reason. Anyway, sorry about that. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, so, again, with this shockwave, does it, let's say, so to speak, go in a straight line? Or does it, like, go, omnidirectional or what?
So this isn't, like, an ability shockwave. It's a natural one. So, like, in Marvel, Hulk's one stays, like, the same power regardless of its distance, which is really weird, but it seems to be able to do that. Like, Hulk's thunderclap can sometimes be more potent than his actual punch. But Asura's one's just a natural one, so it would be an omnidirectional, like, shockwave.
What I mean is, so if he shoots it at Dean, and Dean has this passive luck, he has flight, like, what's stopping it? Like, I'm getting at, the luck would just allow him to duck under and maneuver around the shockwaves because of the luck, and he can, like, fly.
So, okay. When you have, like, a natural shockwave, think of it as, like, a dome, and it's like anything in there is under the attack. So, you wouldn't be able to dodge inside the dome, like, that's like kind of like imagine being able to dodge air particles on Earth. It's like you could probably move faster than air particles. That's probably not too hard. But dodging air particles, the issue is there's air particles everywhere. It's kind of like imagine like swimming but never touching water while doing it. It's quite hard to do, and I think that's a bit higher than I think the luck hacks has at the moment. Unless you can like obviously explain otherwise.
So would you say, are you arguing this would kill Dean, the shockwave?
So if I was to, let's talk about this like in character. If my character to attack and you like miss because of your luck hacks, he's gonna get angry, cause this shockwave. If the shockwave hits Dean, he's gonna be, he's gonna be happy, and then he's gonna probably go back to try and punching. And if it doesn't work, he's gonna repeat himself. But this time he'll probably just stay using shockwaves. So that's what I'd probably say. He'll use shockwave, try and hit again. He might miss because of your luck hacks, whatever, and then he'll just stick to shockwaves afterwards if it does work.
Wait, that's not what I'm asking. And I wasn't getting at luck hacks per se. I was asking, are you using this to kill Dean?
I'm using it as a form of beating down because I can't say if it would kill or not because I can't say how close it is. Because so I said the distance was like 800 and it says like there 879 meters, right?
Yeah.
So if it was to be like a, let's say a one-shot knockout type thing, if it was that, it'd have to be like 10 times your character's potency and such. We can go over that if you want. But that would mean that you'd have to be in the 80-meter range. But I can't assume you're in the 80-meter range. We don't have like an established starting distance or something. So I can't like tell you that this would like kill your character, but it would be a form of beating down and would like help the process of killing your character.
Okay. Well, Dean himself has Type 5 and Type 8 immortality, and this is because not even Death himself can kill Dean with the Mark of Cain, and the Mark of Cain itself is linked to the darkness, something that predates the concept of death in the verse.
Ooh. So
You want to see that?
You can post there, and like other people can like see that and stuff. Remember, I got the lag at the moment. I do think I remember. If you could take a screenshot of, I know it's like asking a bit more than I should probably ask, but could you take like a screenshot of like some dialogue in like an image so I could see it? Because you know,
Oh,
the lag.
I don't think I'll be able to.
All right, that was just that's me asking one too many sort of thing. So don't worry about it.
And my Discord still not letting me even click on my own clips.
Oh my god. Yo, we're both handicapped while debating. That's funny. Remember? In any case, so you're saying this grants Type 4 and Type 5 immortality?
No, Type 5 and Type 8.
Ah, sorry. So Type 5 and Type 8, could you like post a screenshot of what those are? I do not remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that, but I'll explain too. Type 5 is pretty much, or I'll just get the stuff. But Type 5 pretty much when, like, you can't be killed, like, by death or anything. And, like, the embodiment of death himself in that clip says, I can't kill you, Dean. And then we also know the Mark of Cain is directly connected to the darkness, who predates death. But I'll go ahead and get that off BSB since we agreed to use that.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. My PC is just constantly using 100% of its processing power. Oh my god.
And then Type 8 is when you're like, it's like reliant. You're linked to something. Like you cannot, as long as that thing pretty much exists, you can't essentially be permanently killed. But here's the screenshots.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
So, if you say like, just like go on the Type 5 bit, so you say can't be killed by like conventional means, stuff like that. Does that mean like?
That's not what I mean.
No, I know. I'm trying to like get a like further understanding of like how it would like apply if a character was. So let's say I don't know. Let's pretend this is probably like definitely wrong, but if someone pulled up cosmic bullets of like Darkseid and shot Dean in the head somehow, like I don't know how it would happen. Like would he just like his body regenerate and come back? Is it like that? I'm just trying to like get a grasp of how it would work.
He just wouldn't die. Yeah, like not even the concept of death can kill him. And the mark on his arm predates the concept of death itself.
All right, cool. So, if I remember back to my premise, it was to beat down and outlast Dean. So I don't necessarily need to kill him. So I'm just going to say he's going to beat him down. He's going to see Dean still alive and continue beating him down. And just keep doing that.
Okay, well I would argue Dean has passive plot hacks.
Passive plot hacks?
Yeah, passive, yeah.
So what's this passive block hack's going to do?
Well, it's going to allow Dean to stay in the game and win, as Chuck himself is the one manipulating the plot, as Dean and Sam are the main protagonists and heroes of his favorite show. And any inconvenience that could be an inconvenience in the story, he'll make it to where the story ultimately unfolds in their victory.
So when you say like ultimately unfolds into their victory, how does can you give an example of that happening in an unbearable scenario sort of thing, like the type of scenario where it's like you have to throw a dart on a dartboard but there's no dart in your hand type thing?
What do you mean?
Sorry, it just came to my head the better way to phrase that. Could you show them winning in an impossible scenario? That's what I mean.
In an impossible scenario, yeah, I can. Actually, that's a lot throughout the series. He actually won in the Apocalypse, which was an impossible scenario against Perfect Vessel Lucifer, and at the last minute, Dean came out on top.
Sorry, I was going to ask, can you explain why that's an impossible scenario? I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, because this was the end of the entire world, and Dean's just a normal human at the time. It's literally it was impossible for him to do anything. Lucifer was beating his ass, about to end him. And then at the last minute, the plot just went in his favor. Sam was able to regain a little bit of control over Lucifer, and then force himself into the cage in hell. And that's one good example, a very blatant example, honestly, because again, Dean at the time is a normal human. It would be literally impossible for him to stop the apocalypse on his own.
Okay, so this is my idea to go against this, and it's probably going to be the big tangent of this debate. So let's go over scenarios which the plot hacks can do, and let's see whether it'll work in this situation, right? So we have Asura from Asura's Wrath with almost 1 million times attack potency, slightly less than 1 million, but almost 1 million times the attack potency, beating down on Dean. And I'm saying he's going to keep doing this forever and ever. What would you propose the plot hacks do to help Dean?
Well, there's a lot. So I would say it would allow him to touch Asura with death hacks, for one.
And the death hack's going to, instant kill, something like that?
Yeah.
Sora can resurrect himself from death. In fact, he is actually an interesting thing. At the start of the game, after the first time he died, his soul was meant to be consumed by the Goma, and his soul was meant to be collected by what was left of the Shinkoku Empire. And even though Asura got beat so badly that he lost his memories and was knocked out in the afterlife, so he has the worst defense scenario you can possibly imagine. He's so off guard, he doesn't even know who he is, nor is even conscious. For 15,000 years straight, they couldn't take his soul or do anything remotely related to him. It's actually so bad that he only woke up when Chakravartin in the afterlife was like, yo, wake up, and appeared to him as a spider. And that didn't even wake him up then either. That just gave him enough consciousness to have a flashback to his daughter. I'll try and get that, but lag. This might be difficult.
Well, resurrection, you say, how long would that take?
It's varied. It's varied.
Resurrect, you're saying you don't have a direct resistance for death hacks, right?
So what I'm trying to... Okay, I mentioned it earlier that Chakravartin's responsible for the concepts of life and death in the verse. That afterlife is meant to be where the death part takes place. So what I'm trying to say is Asura, if a concept of death was to apply to him, worst case scenario, he goes there. I mean, he does beat up Chakravartin, who actually has life and death in it, and actually has something even better than that, which he actually took, he tanked that without even flinching. Was it Chakravartin's true form, when he transformed it's stated to wipe all things from existence, and he thought this would work on an Asura. They just beat up his suppressed form, similar to, like, I don't know, Piccolo beating up second form Frieza, and then he goes like final form. And this, like, just mere presence was meant to wipe everything from existence. It wiped his own realm, which is so powerful that it can contain a illusionary afterlife that would contain the lives and deaths that was mentioned. And yeah, he wiped out by existing. And Asura literally was like, he was awestruck, like, oh, incredible. But he didn't even flinch. He was more like awestruck at the appearance of Chakravartin. It's like I was going to build up to that, but I'll just go outline straight with it.
Okay.
Let me get the life and death and the erasure statement, so, evidence, stuff like that.
But did it erase him, you say? And he came back?
No. So in that so what I was trying to say is, early in the game, in his worst case scenario, for 15,000 years straight, death hacks didn't apply to him while he was like stuck in the afterlife with no memory and the weakest he was throughout his entire history. But then, when pushed against the strongest of his verse, which is currently what we're using at the moment, the strongest version of Asura, something even greater than what you mentioned for like death hacks was used, and he didn't even flinch, nor did it affect him at all. So you could either say he could regenerate from it, worst case scenario, or you can say he's just so immune to it, he won't even flinch. He might not even recognize it happened.
Yeah, but why does, like, that death hacks equate to, like, the embodiment of death touching you, though?
So, I mentioned this a bit earlier, but while there isn't an embodiment of death in Asura's Wrath, we have a character who could make an embodiment of death because they made life and death and the cycle that contains life and death. And that entire thing would be processed through that afterlife, which was illusionary in comparison to the realm that just got erased. So it's like upscaling type thing. Oh, I wish I didn't have so much lag. It's really annoying.
Are you gonna post something?
Yeah, I'm trying to like get all the stuff up, but it's really annoying. Okay, so here's the erasure statement. I actually have like a screenshot of that, so I can shove that. PC. Here's the erasure statement. There's that. I'm gonna have to, because it's being annoying to me. I'm gonna try and send you a YouTube video of the fight, and I'm gonna need you to skip to when Chakravartin transforms, because that's when like this happens. I won't be able to give you a timestamp, but you'll know when the transformation sort of happens, because they go from looking like some Buddhist being to looking like just some original design. YouTube, please load. In fact, anything, please load. You know what, actually, wait. I'm being stupid. One moment. I'm going to use my phone to send it instead. My PC's lagging. I'll just use my phone. Should have thought of that in the first place. I can also check the timestamp thing. And please, no one in commentary moan at me for just now figuring that out. Come on, leave me alone. Skip along to when it happens, trying to find it. My phone disconnected from the Wi-Fi. Oh my god. Sorry. do. There you go. Alright, now to share this. Copy link.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. You know.
I shall erase your very concept. So did he do it?
No, so he's meant to be able to do this by like passively existing, and does it to his realm, which would exist above like the cycle of life and death thing. So here's the feat of, where's the video of it? The timestamp of him using this ability, and Asura not even noticing it happen, is 1343. So he transforms, and you see him like touch the ground. That's meant to be that ability right there and then. And you see like Asura just like, oh, and doesn't actually flinch or anything.
Interesting. Okay. So what's stopping this plot hacks from just putting Azura on pause, just like stopping him right in his place?
Can it do that?
Well, Azura's an inconvenience.
No, like, has it shown to do that? That's what I meant by like this would be like the tangent point, because we were going over like all the things the plot hacks
I don't
can
think
do.
that inherently matters, because again, if it's an inconvenience to him and Chuck's manipulating such a fundamental part of this battle, he could put you on pause if you don't have a resistance to that. If you're inconvenienced for his show, yeah. I don't think I inherently need to demonstrate that.
All right, cool.
Important. Yeah.
So I'll just there's actually another thing in that video that's quite interesting, because in the game Asura's Wrath, he's stated to have the power that can change the world. This power that denies the fate outlined by Chakravartin, and it's unknown what it is throughout the entire game. However, what I believe it to be, if you look at 2031, it's in the same video. What happens is Chakravartin going all out finally, because Asura's actually starting to damage Chakravartin. You know, Asura progresses in power and stuff like that. Chakravartin starts having their own quick time events, which the quick time events in the game Asura's Wrath is meant to represent the power to change the world. Or in other words, succeeding the quick time events is quite literally them like power change the world. And since that's game mechanics that are coming outside, like an outside influence, similar to like a narrative based ability would be outside influence, I'd say that Asura actually has his own narrative driving force, and that's how he's immune to the whole plan and stuff of Chakravartin. So what I'd say for like the whole point of the plot would pause, I would say Asura's plot would continue.
I mean, why does that plot like you just described that as like fate hacks, and you even mentioned fate in your sentence. You didn't actually at all demonstrate how that's plot. It sounds like rhetoric to me. So can you elaborate more?
Yeah, sure. That's perfectly fine and perfectly reasonable. So Chakravartin throughout the entire game, even in those lesser forms, like at the start of that thing, and even in an illusionary avatar, so it's not even real, but it can still like do damage and stuff like that. That's one was using passive fate hacks already. So this is completely different, and the only time it's ever shown for characters was Asura, whenever, because Asura's doing this all the time, Chakravartin going all out right here and now, and the 2 times we play as Yasha in the game when Asura was knocked out and Yasha was stated to be gaining the power Asura had, and states it himself, the power to change the world. So what he was doing was he was quite literally using Asura's ability, which is an unknown hacks, but I'm suggesting is plot hacks, based on the fact that it's based on the quick time events of a player. So that's why I'm saying like it's plot hacks, because of the mechanics of how the ability works. I just mentioned the fate hacks for context point thing. It's not actually like it's above the fate hacks. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it is fate hacks.
Well, I would say even then that possibility in itself doesn't sound that likely. And you said yourself it's an unknown hacks, and you're just saying it's possible to be that. But what you're still explaining doesn't really demonstrate how he's controlling the plot itself, though, like Chuck's doing, like the actual plot, not just like some unknown, ambiguous thing. Like, and that I think hinders you in itself and hinders your possibility that it's possibly unknown as well. That's a likely possibility just in the same.
I would agree that it being unknown makes it harder to explain. However, I think via the function of it being above characters who can passively, conceptually control fate and have been doing so throughout cycles and cycles, that's like one example of resisting something where they would tell, like you say, your plot hacks would say pause. The one who's controlling all the fate and is doing so on a conceptual level throughout past and past, and Asura throughout his entire existence, always being immune to this, because of this, would be significant evidence towards resisting your ability. And I know yours is plot-based, and what I mentioned for his resistance is fate-based. I'm saying the plot element comes from the mechanics of how it works, which, yes, unknown. It's not stated to be plot or anything like that. We don't see too much evidence for it. But what I would say is that element of coming from the player, that outside person, is significant enough to be plot hacks, considering that when something's disconnected from the game itself, you cannot use things in the game for like a limitation. So I couldn't say it is fate hacks because the originator of this is something beyond the game itself and it's attached to Asura. So it would be illogical to use that. And I cannot think of a more suitable ability than plot hacks. If you can suggest a better one, I am open.
Yeah, I would just argue it's a higher level, like a higher layer of fate hacks, to be honest.
But fate hacks is in the game on a conceptual level.
Yeah, so this is at a higher fundamental level.
But how?
And why does
it's contained in the game.
Yeah, but you're arguing game mechanics, and you're saying this is some. Why does a game mechanic equal to this? Like, why are you able to use game mechanics in this battle?
So I'm saying the game mechanics justify how the ability works. Because, so like the quick time event thing I'm saying, that happens for Asura and Yasha via the player. But Chakravartin doesn't, that's not the player. Chakravartin does it themselves. So, that's like another way of doing it.
But you're not, that's the thing, dude. Like, you're not playing as Azora right now.
Oh, yeah, okay. So what I'm trying to say is the fact that Chakravartin themselves do it is acknowledgement in the game that their characters themselves can do it. So I'm saying the game mechanic is the ability, and we have a character who we don't play as who actually has the ability themselves, and it shows it in the exact same way. And also, just another thing to quickly say on that, because like context stuff like that. The story of Asura's Wrath. If we're using Peak Asura, which we are, then he succeeds in all his quick time events, succeeds in all his plot. So it would make sense that we'd be using it similar to how Chakravartin would, that it like succeeds. Speaking with, we also know that Asura, despite Chakravartin, still beat down Chakravartin.
Yeah, so you said Azora is still using it within the game.
No, so I'm saying Asura, story-wise, should be using it in-game, but the originator of the ability is outside the game, and in the story, Chakravartin literally does it without a player. So we would have to say that the ability is narrative-based because of how we know it works, but then we should also say that he doesn't need the player to do it, that is the only part that is limited via game mechanics. The only part limited by conventional game mechanics is the needing player aspect. Because that was another point you mentioned about, like, oh, we need, like, the player for this. Which I'm not actually sure if that's needed, by the way. Like, him needing the player, even if he did, might not actually be relevant.
Yeah, again, I just think you hindered yourself, and this just kind of ties back to a much more fundamental form of fate hacks, because it just sounds like what you're doing is you're just trying to use rhetoric to dance around the actual issue and claim it's like possibly plot hacks, but the problem is everything you're explaining falls back in line with fate hacks because it just seems like Azura in the game is just overcoming what he was originally fated to be, and it just doesn't work on him like this fate hack. So he just overcomes his fate, like he gets past his fate. So I'll say you really haven't proven anything.
No, so the difficulty with this bit, and why I call like the unknown hack stuff like that, instead of saying, yeah, it's definitely plot and stuff like that, is because of, well, it's called circular logic. I need to say that, this is definitely above all that conceptual fate, which it objectively is. Like, without using any quick time events, Chakravartin was already using the fate throughout the entire game. So it doesn't make sense for it to be that. It has to be higher. And it can't just be something like an extra level higher, because that doesn't, again, make sense why the mechanics then. That doesn't really work. But if we then say that, okay, it must be something higher, it involves a player, so let's suggest a plot. But then you go back and say, oh, wait, Chakravartin's using it, and that doesn't involve the player. But then you need to think of the story element behind it, of in the story of Asura's Wrath, Asura himself would be doing this. The player is just the only game bit that's driving him to do it. So you would use the player to justify, yes, it's plot hacks, even though you need to also say he doesn't need the player to do it. Now, I'd like to just say one thing. If we want to go down the line of him needing the player, like perhaps let's say that. Say, oh, okay, he needs the player to use plot hacks. That would be no different than Dean needing Chuck to do it. So I think it is fair.
No, it's not. That's a false equivalence, because you already admitted the player is outside of the game. Chuck is within the actual verse, like within the actual verse doing this. He's not some outside, third party person, like outside playing. He's actually in the story himself, writing it, like with Dean. So that's a false equivalence, and you already admitted your dude's outside of the game, like the player. So no.
Wait, isn't Chuck outside his own plan? Like outside his own plot hacks?
Well, he actually writes himself in the story.
So he writes himself in the story where he wants to be. Correct?
Yeah.
So,
like whatever. Yeah.
So Chuck himself should be outside, but chooses to be inside, right?
Yeah, it's not the same, dude, as a player playing the game outside the game and God in a verse being in the verse itself, like having narrative plot hacks. It's not the same at all.
So what I'm trying to say then is that would be like, I know we're talking about the player, but that would actually be no different than a game designer putting himself in the game. That's what I'm like trying to lead on to now. If not, I would actually argue the player being a step further is actually a step further than Chuck then. Like, in a way, that might actually hinder you. Like, I've hindered myself before, but that might hinder you, saying that, the player's a step further.
I don't think so. When that whole player coming into play is a hypothetical, it's like, why is that even relevant? You said Azura doesn't inherently need it.
Yeah, so what I was trying to say is, it's a, circular logic thing. To prove it's plot hacks, you need to mention the player, say that a character can use it without, and Asura shouldn't need it. But then I mention the player to justify all that, loop. So I'm saying it's circular logic, but it's just a bunch of truth statements. It's like...
well, if it's circular logic, it's fallacious.
It can be fallacious. I'm just trying to think of... there's another thing that uses circular logic that it's 100% true, but you have to use circular logic to justify it. This is like a mathematics thing. Do you mind if I go through this mathematical thing, if you wouldn't mind?
You could, but I don't accept circular reasoning.
Well, you may not, but I'll continue to try and justify this. So in mathematics, there's a form of well, it's not a form, it's a term called differentiation. You're trying to work out the rate of change of a certain function. And if you use it on an exponential, the rate of change is relative to whatever the exponential itself is. So if, let's say, the value in the exponential is 2, the rate of change is 2 times, so 2, 4, 6, 8, that type of thing. When you differentiate it, you can get that rate of change, but you also get a slight constant type thing to tell you how it would change if you continue differentiating over and over, because it would actually change that rate of change, and they all go towards the constant known as E. So that's a proof thing there. But to prove that they actually approach E, we need to use the opposite of the exponential, the natural log. And when we use the natural log, we only can prove the natural log works by diving into the exponential and saying, if we put exponential in the logarithm function and as a natural log, we get such. So it's actually a circular logic between the two of them to prove something is correct, because otherwise the proof is just saying, oh, this trend matches. And that's what I'm just like started off with. I started off with, hey, it makes sense that it has to be something far beyond conceptual fate hacks. Like, the conceptual fate is a character's passive existence in their lowest form, and Asura was always above that while he was knocked out unconscious and stuff like that. And then you bring in the aspect of the gaming character, the player, as the evidence of why it would be plot as opposed to something else. But then that itself requires me to go back to why it's in the game. So I think it's justifiable to use circular logic in this case, because the whole point of why circular logic is a fallacy is normally your assumptions your assumptions contradict each other when you do circular logic, but instead I'm suggesting towards the conclusion and then using circular logic to justify that as the proof mechanism. How do I say it? Imagine I was going to say a bad analogy, ignore that. I'm not sure if there's a better way to explain it. Should we make a conclusion on this point and then carry on? Because we're just ranting on the same point, really.
Sure. Do you want a couple people to judge it now?
I meant on the point, but if you want, we could do an overall conclusion, if you prefer.
Yeah, this point's kind of relevant. So if you want to have a conclusion to the point, and then have Nyotic and Debater or someone judge it, they've been here for the point.
All right, cool. We can do that. Who do you want to go first for concluding this point? You
can.
All right. Okay. So, wow, I'm going to sound like a parrot now. A webcam parrot now. I had justified earlier on in the debate that the character of Chakravartin uses conceptual fate. I had said this, not followed through, and in fact, Korin used it against me several times. So I've definitely that's definitely gone through. That conceptual fate is used to dictate all the events in the verse in the cycle that happens over and over again. That is completely different to the true form of Chakravartin being able to. Sorry, I just noticed you see in Scan Zone 2, Debate just said something.
Well, Nyotic, do you mind judging this point?
I wasn't here for the past 5 minutes, but I did hear everything else. The point where Corinne said, can I use a mathematical something to justify the circular reasoning? I didn't hear that.
All right. Well, he's about to recap it now. Hello?
Yeah. So I'll recap that. Thank you. I thought I'd stop to make sure that was right. That's what I'd need to say then.
Okay.
Yeah. So carry on to where I was at. Something that's fundamentally different and agreeably, we both agreed it had to be higher than just the baseline conceptual fate that was been using. I was saying it's fundamentally different and using the game player to justify it being something outside the narrative as plot hacks. And that's what I was trying to say. And then going back to Chakravartin to say characters in the story should be able to do this. So it was circular in that way. And then, as per Nyotic's request just then, I was using a mathematical analogy for when circular logic is proven. So what they would do is they would use, much like myself, they were using the differentiation of exponential-based functions that always approach the constant e for its rate of change. Now, they can approach it, but that's not a proof. A proof is you say it's definitely that. To do that proof, you need the natural log, which is a logarithmic function that uses e as its subscript. So you need to use that value to prove itself, and to prove that natural logarithm works, you need to use that value once again. So it's a circular logic loop, which we know everything's approaching, we know it's true, but it requires circular logic to logically prove, sort of thing. We could say, oh yeah, we're approaching this, therefore it's true, but that's not an actual proof mechanism. So what I'm trying to say is the proof mechanism in my argument is the circular loop, but the approaching something far beyond conceptual fate hacks and the mechanics-wise coming from the player would be the going towards aspect to say it's plot hacks. That's my conclusion on this point. Korin, of course, gets his conclusion on this point before you say anything.
Okay. So my conclusion would be, I think I addressed this point as we started. Corimbus admitted, yeah, this was unknown. He was trying to form a possibility that it could be plot manipulation. And I argued back with, well, it just seems like a higher level of conceptual fate. And it just seems like you're using rhetoric mumbo jumbo to try and demonstrate something that actually isn't the case. And when you actually look at how each is performed, one is clearly plot, while the other one acts more as just a higher level of fate manip. And then he goes on to say, he gives like a mathematical analogy and explains how circular reasoning can lead to the truth. However, yet again, he was just more so using rhetoric. He didn't directly address how this equates to plot hacks, and he himself admitted it's circular reasoning, which is fallacious in itself from the start. So I would say his possibility isn't actually likely at all. And when you actually compare the two and compare what's going on with Asura and Dean, one is actually affecting the plot, and the other one just seems like a high level of fate hacks with some rhetoric sprinkled on top to make it seem like something it's not. So in conclusion, I would say I took this point.
Hello?
Hello, did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you. I thought I cut out at the end because the way you ended it, I thought you cut out. All right. So I was checking my Discord.
Wait. Can you just repeat the last thing Korin said then to make sure you heard the full thing?
Oh, I heard it. It's just that the way he ended it made it sound like he cut out for me. So I thought he cut out. So I was checking my Discord. But I did hear it though.
Okay then.
All right. So I guess I would have to edge overall more to Korin. I feel like he was just able to just point out how definitively it couldn't just be plot hacks. I do think it being a higher form of fate hacks could also just be a possibility that's just as equal as it being plot hacks as well. And I do think Korin's way of differentiating the two of them between what plot hacks and what fate hacks look like was suitable enough for him to take the point in my eyes. But that would be my judgment overall.
Okay.
All right then.
Okay.
So, the last thing that was mentioned for the plot hacks was you said your plot hacks would freeze my character in place. That was the last thing you said, right?
Yeah, because you're an inconvenience. Yeah.
So can you show that happening?
I already explained why I didn't need to, and we've already moved on. Are you going to backtrack?
Actually, in this thing, yeah, because I believe the reasoning being to was the inconvenience. I think that was the reasoning for it. So I'm going to backtrack on that. Yes.
Well, I actually added on more than that.
Oh, can you repeat it then? Sorry.
Yeah. So for one, if you are an inconvenience to Dean, the plot will inevitably unfold in his victory. So I don't think I inherently need to show an instance where Chuck froze someone in place, because Chuck himself is manipulating the plot, which you don't have a way around as of now. So I don't see any reason whatsoever from what's stopping him from just pausing Asura because you're an inconvenience to his favorite show. And it's not. Go on.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say something. what is the potency of the plot hacks? Like, if you were to like slap on a like a Charles Xavier, his mind hacks can affect things in the astral range. Like, what was the potency of this plot hacks?
4 to 5D easily, maybe even higher.
Is there a hacks cap in this tournament?
No, that came down to us to determine. We never agreed to anything. I mean, we'll make sure to look at the rules real quick just to double check.
Yeah, I don't remember. That's a genuine question. I'm like, is there a hacks cap in this tournament?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just put the people agreed to put on the rules that it's up to us to agree on these stipulations.
All right, cool. I have some other things to then address, which is going to be quite interesting. So the inconvenience will, what? So you say as freeze Asura or something similar. What would happen? And this is like a genuine question. What would happen if the plot doesn't recognize Asura as an inconvenience?
What do you mean?
So, what? So this is. I'm going to presume Supernatural is definitely a good story, and by that I mean when you say something's an inconvenience, it doesn't happen to every little thing that's ever like came against Ian. Like it's only for things that he's like fully necessary for. So I want to ask exactly that. If the plot hack doesn't deem, okay, sorry, that didn't come out right. If the plot hack doesn't deem this fully necessary, then why would it work? Why would it be used?
If Azura is the reason why, so are you arguing that this wouldn't be an inconvenience?
Yeah, I'm saying that once like the conditions met that Asura can win, then it's over. Like there wouldn't be an inconvenience in that way, because the way of outlasting has a finite time limit on VSB.
Well, you're not understanding, dude. Since this is actually passive right from the start, right? You're already gonna be. If we're in a fucking battle, dude, right? And you're trying to hurt me, like that's gonna pose an inconvenience for Dean being in Supernatural, like Chuck's favorite show. So this is actually helping me more because it's not some. This is actually a huge inconvenience because like this dude's very threatening. He poses a threat and an inconvenience to Chuck's show, and which has already been accepted. Like that hasn't been contested at all. So, and I don't even have to activate it for it to be the case. Like it's just there from the start. You're already going to be recognized as an inconvenience. Yeah, let me finish, please. And then once you're recognized as an inconvenience, this is already there. Like the story's going to unfold for Dean's inevitable victory. So you're not going to be able to do what you say you can do, dude. Especially if you don't have any resistance to plot hacks.
No, sorry, I want to ask, what was accepted? Because I'm pretty sure me asking about what qualifies as an inconvenience is not the same as me saying, can you use your plot hacks for an inconvenience? I think those are two very different questions.
Yeah. So for one, we've already moved on from the point of Dean having passive plot from Chuck. Like that wasn't contested at all.
That's not why I asked, Korin.
Dude, you're not understanding, dude. Right? Are you gonna let me finish?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. What I'm saying is, Azura is a big inconvenience because one, you have higher AP, right? You have higher AP, so you pose a threat to Dean, and in turn, that would inconvenience the plot of Supernatural for Chuck. That's his favorite show. So again, this falls back to I see literally no reason to suggest it wouldn't be an inconvenience. And it just seems like you're just, again, nitpicking and using rhetoric without actually having any like sound foundation behind it, bro. So
I mean, I asked a question. I'm not sure how asking a question can lead to not having a foundation. Yeah. So you're saying it would be an inconvenience. Let's go to the reasoning why. It's an inconvenience because my character has higher AP and is beating down on one of his favorite characters, correct?
Yeah, and is going to attempt to do that, yeah.
So you're saying not
So
one...
That's what an
Sorry.
inconvenience for the... Yeah, that's an inconvenience for Dean, dude.
I thought it was an inconvenience. It needs to be an inconvenience for Chuck's story.
Is Dean part of Chuck's story?
Yes, but I'd also say that getting beaten down in Chuck's story is something that he's probably had happen before. I'm not going to say that... Well, I think you wouldn't say either that Dean's never been beaten down in Chuck's story before.
That's the issue, though. See, that falls back in line with we're not... See, that falls back to this middle space we're in, bro. We're not in that story right now. Chuck's here observing this, right? He's manipulating the plot. So this isn't just in his story of the plot of Supernatural. This is outside, so he still needs Dean to be in the episodes of Supernatural. That's the thing. So the inconvenience is you're trying to prevent Dean from being in the show. That's the thing. Like that's a huge inconvenience. Like if you're going to like try to kill him, not saying that you said that inherently, I'm just giving an example. Or like beat him down, right? Like beat him down to death or beat him down and knock him out. That's clearly an inconvenience for the plot itself of the show of Supernatural. So in Chuck's eyes, that would be a huge inconvenience for his favorite character. So again, I don't see anything that addresses what I'm saying.
I actually think you made a slip up there. You might not have noticed it, but you just said that this takes place outside Chuck's story. So I've got to ask, can you prove Chuck has plot hacks that goes outside his own story?
Dude, that doesn't matter.
I think it does, because if he's got plot hacks over his
it doesn't,
story...
dude.
Yeah, it does.
Shit.
That's
You know
not
what I mean?
rat shit. That's not rat shit. That's an honest question.
Dude,
It's a
that's
really
ratty,
big
bro.
question.
That's so ratty, dude.
That's not.
Yeah, it's called plot hacks, which has already been accepted.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
and I've said he's got his plot
yes.
hacks, right? And when we're going over this plot hacks, going over the details of how it works, you've just told me it's all from Chuck in his story, and then just told me this is currently outside the story. That's what I meant by your slip up.
Yeah, so exactly. So why wouldn't the plot? It's still plot hacks, dude. That's passive for Dean himself from Chuck. So it's still it's still a hacks that applies here, and you're still an inconvenience. And Chuck still needs Dean to be back in the story. He's his favorite character. I don't see why that invalidates shit. To be honest, this is something passive that just happens at the start of the battle.
So you're talking about this like plot hacks for Chuck's story, and then you've also said it's not in Chuck's story anymore. You said that yourself. You did.
Yeah, so what?
So if it's not in there, how can he have any control over the plot that he doesn't have? Because this is a different plot. In your own words.
No, because if you don't have a resistance, he can still manipulate the plot, dude, to a much higher degree than your character is physically AP-wise, dude. Like, again, this falls back to you needing a resistance.
I'm sorry.
You're just trying to dance around again.
No, okay. I don't think this is dancing around. It's just called going into details. That's what it is. But even more, did you just say he can physically do it above my character? Did you just say that?
No, I didn't. I said it's above what your character's physically capable of doing, dude.
Okay, I just wanted to double check. 'Cause that sounded really odd.
Yeah, I didn't fucking say that.
You don't need to swear, Korin. Calm down. So I don't think. Well, I'm actually being quite honest. I think that with you saying that he's got the power in Chuck's story, and then also saying this is outside Chuck's story, it really sounds like he's unavailable here. It's like imagine being in Avatar and having the ability to water bend, and there's no water around you. It's like I'm not saying your character doesn't have plot hacks. I'm saying he can't use it in this scenario, based on what's been said so far between us.
Dude, that doesn't at all mean he can't use it, as I've already explained. Like, that doesn't invalidate it not being able to work, dude. Like, it's actually like a passive thing for Dean himself on the battlefield. So, just because he's not in the Supernatural story right now does not at all invalidate the plot hacks not being able to work. I can literally say that for anything in fiction, dude. Oh, it's not in its story. So why would that fate hacks, for example, why would that work on the fate in this battle if it's only been shown to work in that story? That doesn't make any sense.
Actually, so here's the thing. I've never once said Asura's gonna use fate hacks. I said he's above the fate hacks.
I'll say that as an example. Don't like straw man.
No. I'm like following up from it. So what I'm trying to say is, because I haven't used it at all, I'm not saying that my character would, and because of that, I would agree that not being in that fate, like your character's not in Chakravartin's fate, so I wouldn't say that fate would ever apply to your character. So why would the plot hacks of a different story be affecting my character who isn't in your plot, which you have said?
Because you're still in this battle with Dean, who has passive plot, and you're still an inconvenience to him.
Okay,
it doesn't matter.
Sorry.
If it what? Yeah, like what?
Oh, sorry. I was gonna just say, if we have to go over, we actually do have to go over this because it's quite direct. We have you saying that Chuck has his plot hacks over all of Supernatural, and you say he can do anything in Supernatural with that plot hacks. And now you then said that this battle is outside the Supernatural plot. The only thing Chuck can manipulate, or have been shown or stated, or any evidence to manipulate, would be the things in Supernatural he's given it to. So if there is any application of this plot hacks that could be used in this battle, it would only be on the only thing supernatural in this battle. And by supernatural, I mean from the verse Supernatural, obviously, which would be on Dean. My character's not from it. You can't, perhaps the plot hacks will make Dean forever invincible or something like that. Or it will try and teleport him away to get him out of there. Perhaps Chuck's plot hacks will send him back to Supernatural. But he wouldn't be able to, if we go back to what your plot hacks WinCon was, to freeze my character. Because that's why it's extremely relevant. Korin, are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Are you done?
Yeah. That's why I stop talking.
Just making sure you didn't cut out or something. But
okay, thank you.
Okay, so you accept that Dean does have plot hacks, even if it doesn't directly have per se an effect on you. It would still be a factor in this to help Dean.
Yeah, I agree. But I'd say he can use it for the things that are supernatural in there, which would be Dean. And I also should specify, you said you were using Composite Dean, so it should also apply to any equipment Dean has as well. I should be honest with the whole thing. Anything that's from Supernatural in this battle that Dean has, that plot hacks would work over. Yes.
Okay, then I'll take that exception. That acceptance, my bad. But also, yeah. So, okay. Then that leaves me, since that's accepted, then he could just make Dean invincible, since that's part of the plot.
So if Dean's invincible, so that changes me beating down and Dean regenerating to him punching Dean, and then Dean's undamaged the whole time. So another way for a win con to happen is a way of restraining, isn't it? So could Asura just restrain Dean for what's the time frame on Versabattle Wiki? I've forgotten.
Restrain goes against your premise, though.
Ah, you're right. My bad. That is my bad on me.
That's not beating him down anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 100% right on that. So my premise was to beat down and outlast. So I can't damage you via the beating down because Chuck has made you invincible. So that's that. But the beating down being invincible doesn't stop. What do you say? I just want to ask this. It may sound unrelated, but it is actually related. Have you seen the One Punch Man, Saitama versus Carnage Kabuto? Have you seen that fight?
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. The only fights I've seen of One Punch Man is the Deep Sea King stuff with Genos and Speed of Sound and Boros and Saitama. I don't really watch One Punch Man.
Ah, god damn it. So in that fight, Saitama obviously wins by one shot in Carnage Kabuto, but what happens is, despite Saitama being undamaged by anything Carnage Kabuto could do, he could still like knock him around. So what I'd have to say here is when he does his attacks and Dean's obviously undamaged because Chuck's just a Chad. What would happen then is these attacks would just be knocking around like forever and ever. Which I would, how would I say this? If he's like being forever knocked around, like he'd be no better than like a hamster in a cage, which I think that would be. Can you do me a favor? Because you know my PC's lagging. Can you get those like win conditions? Not it's not restraining, obviously, but the other ones that are on versus Wiki. Because I'm trying to like say which one it would be, but I can't like say it correctly. Oh. Yo, Korin, you okay?
Yeah, I had to like re-enter. You're starting to cut out. My bad.
Yeah, no problem. I saw you drop out and I was like, damn, there must be connection or something. Don't worry about it.
It's all good.
Is this debate equal speed, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's equal speed. We did say that earlier on in the debate after the AP point, and we iterated it after that. I bet it's debater asking.
All right, so what was you saying though, bro?
I was actually requesting something of you. If you could get like on versus wiki all those like so it's not restraining, but then you have like all the time it takes to like come back from death and other things similar to that. Like I'm not saying it's coming back from death. That's wrong as well. I just wanted to like read off the list what those things are because I'm trying to like say which one this would be and I want to say it correctly.
So you're asking for SBA, right?
Yeah.
I glitched the game. Oh, okay, I'm just making sure. All right.
I don't know where it is on versus Battle Wiki, so.
I mean, Nyotic, do you mind looking that up real quick? Because my phone, like our stuff is really messing with us.
Yeah, I got you. I'll look up the SBA. I got you.
Yeah, we're literally getting nagged by like our phones and PCs the whole this entire debate.
That's what makes it more annoying is that for me. But
yeah,
I understand that. All right, I'm about to link it right now. I got it.
Thank you, Nyotic.
You want me to screenshot it or just actually link it?
I should be able to click on the link. It'll take like a minute to load or something. So, because you might need to do like multiple screenshots or something like that. So I'd rather the link than you'd have to worry about it.
All right.
Oh,
link is too.
Thank you very much. I will say, if I use one of them, I will screenshot and post which one I mean to make that like clear for Korin.
All right.
Come on, PC, don't melt. Sorry, it's still loading.
Yeah.
Oh, it's frozen loading. Come on, please. You know what? When I have my birthday, I'm definitely getting a new one. I'll probably go for the same brand. Because it's a really good computer, but it's like 6 years old. So. Come on. It has been almost an hour and a half, by the way, since we started. Yeah. I can now read it.
What'd you say?
Oh, sorry. I was just looking at how long we've been debating for. And I said it's been an hour and a half. Not as long as last time, surprisingly.
Kratos, you there?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Wait. I'll just rejoin real quick.
Bruh.
Or I can hear you,
must
by
hear
the
me?
way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm not sure what's going on with Korin is.
Dang, his internet fully negged him this time, not just like half-assed it. It actually fully negged him.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello, you're back. Yeah.
Yo, I could hear you guys while I was trying to talk. It's like, yeah, I can hear you. What do you mean? What? And then you guys were saying I weren't there. I was like, what? No, I was just like, bro, I was making comments saying, yo, I need a new computer and stuff like that.
Bruh, terrible.
I was like saying, oh, I've had this computer for 6 years. It's really good, but it's definitely not out of character. Like, it's past its best by date. God damn it. I'm not sure how more irony it can be. No, don't freeze.
Bruh.
Okay,
Mine's
sorry.
getting a little better finally, but it's still fucking up.
So yeah, victory conditions. Death of the opponent or even the opponent from the battlefield at least 1 week. Knocking the opponent out for at least 1 hour or incapacitating the opponent by putting him in a state which he cannot harm or fight the others for over a day. Are assumed to be as victory conditions. So that last one will... I'm going to highlight the putting me in a state of not being able to harm the other fighter for victory conditions. And I just like, so I can specify which one I meant, because I, couldn't justify a second ago. Well, not justify, I couldn't say it properly a second ago. So now you know which one I'm going for here. Because what I'm going to say is Asura is going to basically pinball Dean for a day straight. I think it says for a day. Why is that such poor quality of a screenshot? Sorry. That actually annoys
Well, I
me.
would say you wouldn't even be able to touch Dean because Dean can fly. So how are you gonna grab him to put him in a hold for a day?
Well, no, it's not a hold, remember? Because I can't do a restraining thing, because that's against my premise.
Yeah.
So
what'd you say specifically again? I just don't want to misconstrue what you said.
Yeah, no problem, because I'm the easiest way to go about it would be restraining, but my premise stops me from doing that. So what I'm saying here is, it says you by incapacitating, which we can't do, but by putting him in a, it says him, it assumes gender. Wow, by putting him in a state which he cannot harm the other fighter or fighters. So what I was trying to say is, Asura is gonna beat down, which the beatdown is not going to damage Dean because of the plot hacks, as we discussed. But it's going to happen for a period of time, which would be considered a win by making sure Dean couldn't fight back. I know, right? It's so weird.
I would go. I mean, Dean's not just gonna stand there and let him do that. He has I have passive luck on the field still. I have passive plot manip for Dean, and he can fly all kinds of shit. So I don't think he's just gonna allow Asura to sit there and beat him down for a day. To be honest, that's not a thing.
So it says by putting him in a state where you cannot harm the other fighters. There is actually another thing Asura could do to make that condition technically true. So I think you remember this from Asura's Wrath, but Asura, he progresses throughout the games and stuff. He started off destroying Goma that were 800 kilometers in size, multi-continental stuff, big cool stuff like that. And now he's 200 million times universal. So what I would say is, in his battle against Dean, while the battle takes place, my character's going to grow to the point where you physically can no longer affect my character. And that would be putting Dean in a state where he could no longer harm the other fighter.
But you do realize you're in a state where you can no longer harm me.
That is ironically true as well. Damn, so neither of us can harm each other. God damn it. I'm not having another Kenny situation.
I mean, at least... to be honest, at least this one wouldn't be out of charity, but...
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, so we actually can't harm each other. That works for both ways, bro. But you already know that now.
Yeah, you just said that. And I was like, oh yeah, I can't harm you either. Oh, whoops. Damn. I'm not sure how to go forward with this. Any ideas?
Coin toss.
Coin toss.
No, I'm kidding. But
I can put it on my camera and do a coin toss. Let me.
No, you're not doing a coin toss.
well, to be honest, your premise hasn't been fulfilled. Mine would still be fulfilled because it still helps Dean, and I already specified in any way that's necessary to help him. So, like, mine would still be fulfilled.
I think neither of us being able to harm each other is a form of outlasting, though. So, like, the beatdown and outlasting. I think that portion of the premise works just fine. So I only need one of the two to be true.
Okay, so we can't. Yeah, you just said we can't harm each other. So what are you getting at?
Well, no, I was saying that you were saying like my premise wasn't true, but I was like, our character could beat down even if it like is ineffective. He could beat down and then outlast, because the outlast bit would be going on forever and ever. But if we're both doing that tactic because we can't harm each other, then we both would be like true in that aspect. Not the true debate, as in like true.
So would you call it a stalemate?
Well, we're gonna have to because we can't do anything.
Okay, then a stalemate then.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this debate, check out the rest of my channel and the other debates on the channel, as well as check out Korin O Keefe's channel. Furthermore, there's a video here linking to my most recent one. It's an SCP video. And with that, thank you all for watching. See you all next time.